All right, we are set to go live. Josh Carway and Jen Toe, superstars in the events team, thank you both for making this event possible through Hopin. I'll have everyone take their seats now. Yes, even you in the back row. Welcome everyone to the 11th edition of the FCAT Undergraduate Conference. As you know, due to COVID restrictions on face-to-face gatherings, the conference is taking place online this year. Thank you for taking the time and joining us today. My name is Carmen Neustader, and I am the Dean of the Faculty of Communication, Art, and Technology. As FCAT spans all of SFU's campuses, I would first like to respectfully acknowledge the unceded traditional territories of the Musqueam, Squamish, Tsleil-Waututh, Katzie, Coquitlam, Kikite, Kwantlen, Semiahmoo, and Tawasin peoples, on whose traditional territories our offices, schools, and programs reside. At my home today in Maple Ridge, I join you from the unceded traditional territory of the Katzie and Kwantlen First Nations. I encourage each of you to recognize the location in which you are joining us from within the Hopin chat at this time. Next, I would like to welcome Elder Alec Dan, who will welcome us to this land. Alec Dan is a member of the Musqueam Nation. He is a father of 5 and has 17 grandchildren. He is a well-known and well-respected man for all he does to represent not just his nation, but also his family. He has family from up the mountain in Squamish Nation and family from across the water in Kuper Island. He walks 2 worlds here with us, a proud Coast Salish Musqueam man who welcomes so many individuals to his land of the unceded territory of the Musqueam people. He is a proud man that is well-respected and hardworking in the private cultural ceremonies that are held all across Coast Salish lands. Thank you for joining us, Alec.
Good afternoon. It's an honor for me to be here with you today to welcome you to the unceded territory of the Musqueam people, descendants of Musqueam ancestors, our friends and relatives from Squamish and Tsleil-Waututh. Honor for me to be here to be the voice for you today, because when we hear visitors coming into our territory, we used to gather as a community and meet and greet our visitors at the mouth of the river, what is called the Fraser River today. That's where our village of Musqueam is located. And that's why, that's why I say it's such an honor for me, because I'm not only here on behalf, representing myself, representing my elders, my community, my elected chief and council, and our friends and relatives from Squamish and Tsleil-Waututh. What is called the shared territories today is what is known as the Greater Vancouver Area, the Lower Mainland. To share a little bit of who we are as Kwalmok people of this land, all the different villages that we have. At one time, we had at least 30 villages throughout the Lower Mainland. Musqueam, Squamish, Tsleil-Waututh, Tawasin, Coquitlam. Again, we were all one nation, and all those villages that we had were different locations to gather different resources. Musqueam, of course, for the salmon that goes up the river. Swaikwai, what is called Stanley Park today. We use that location to gather clams and the shelled fish from that area. And what is called Jericho, Kitsilano, that neighborhood, we used to gather our berries and our medicines from there, our berries and our plants to make our medicines and our herbal teas. Sequexin, another village upriver a bit, what is known as the Alex Fraser River, or Alex Fraser Bridge today. We had a village there at one time also. So, that's why I say it's such an honor for me to be here. Thank you for asking me to be here to start off your conference in a wonderful, good way, and building that bridge and acknowledging the shared territory that we all work, reside, and the recreational activities that we do in what is called the Greater Vancouver. So to go along with these words of welcome, to welcome you here, not only to your conference, undergrad conference, but also to welcome you to the unceded territory of the Musqueam people and descendants of Musqueam ancestors, Squamish and Tsleil-Waututh, and even Tawasin, Coquitlam, our friends and relatives. We have a welcome song that I want to share with you. Musqueam welcome song. And there's words in our language, in the Hunkaminam language that we speak. And the words translate to welcome respected ones, welcome loved ones. So with that, I'll share this welcome song to go along with these welcome words of welcome also. Hajkasiyam. So once again, on behalf of the Musqueam people, descendants of Musqueam ancestors, Squamish, Tsleil-Waututh, Tawasin, these are all the villages throughout the greater Vancouver area. Welcome you here to the unceded territory of the Coast Salish people, Musqueam people. Welcome you to the conference, to start your conference off in a wonderful, good way. Thank you once again for asking me to be a part of this. Honor for me to be here, to be the voice for my community, my elders, my family, my elected chief and council. So with that, thank you once again. Thank you.
Thank you, Elder Alagdan, for that warm welcome. Next, I'm very honored that SFU President Dr. Joy Johnson is also present and celebrating the work of FCAT students with us today. Joy Johnson is SFU's 10th President and Vice Chancellor, a president committed to enhancing student learning experiences, working towards reconciliation, in advancing equity, diversity, and inclusion and anti-racism across Simon Fraser University. Joy is committed to academic excellence and creating learning environments where everyone thrives and fulfills their potential. I warmly welcome Joy Johnson to say a few words.
Well, thank you ever so much, Carmen, for welcoming me. I'm thrilled to be here today. And I also want to thank Elder Alec Dan for that wonderful opening and starting us off in such a good way. I want to acknowledge that I'm here on the Mountain today, and I'm privileged to be speaking to you from this beautiful unceded traditional territory of the Musqueam, Squamish, and Tsleil-Waututh people. It's just such a privilege to be joining all of you, and I'm very excited about this opportunity for you to be sharing your work. The Faculty of Communication, Art, Technology undergraduate conference has really grown over the years. I think we see a record number of 87 presenters this year and more than 60 creative, innovative, and informative projects. So well done. As a community engaged research university, SFU is really interested in welcoming opportunities such as this to showcase the way our student projects really are making a difference. It's an amazing forum that can spark dialogue and discussions, so congratulations. The work presented today is from our amazing FCAT students, and from that includes communication, School of Interactive Arts and Technology, Contemporary Arts, and Publishing. It's such a great diverse mix, and I think you're going to all learn a great deal from each other. It's also an opportunity for students to present your work in a public community forum, and it's a great experience for your future career for whatever you may choose to do. And trust me, and I do speak from experience here, it gets easier to present every time you do it. This is the 11th year of organizing this incredible undergraduate research conference. We've seen enormous growth, as I mentioned, in the number of students involved throughout the years. And I really think it shows the high demand amongst students to share their work in a public forum. The creativity of our students really never does cease to amaze me. I really do want to acknowledge that it's been a challenging year. It's a challenging year for our students, for our faculty, for our staff, and for our families. Nevertheless, here you are. You've risen to the occasion and to the challenge. You should be very, very proud of what you've accomplished. It does take persistence, and this is an incredible opportunity to share what you have accomplished. It really does reaffirm that our FCAT students are very much engaged in the issues and questions of our time. Just look through the topics that you're covering. As students of an engaged university, you are innovative thinkers, and you're seeking a diverse perspective. So very well done. Congratulations. I do want to say it takes a lot of work, even in Zoom land or on the platform, to put together an event like this. So I really want to thank the Undergraduate Conference Organizing Committee from the Faculty of Communication, Art, and Technology for organizing this big conference. I know that you're all very excited to get on with the program. So once again, congratulations to all of you. Thank you for sharing your innovative projects and your talents with us, and all the best in your presentations today.
Thank you, Joy, for being with us today and sharing your kind words. They are very inspiring. As you have all heard, this is our 11th FCAT undergraduate conference. That's right, we have now connected for 11 years together, and no pandemic is going to stop us this year. The FCAT UGC is a celebration and exploration of the diverse range of student work produced within our faculty. As Joy said, from the School of Communication, the School for the Contemporary Arts, the School of Interactive Arts and Technology, and the Publishing Program. Students from each of our schools and programs have the opportunity to showcase performances, research papers, displays, and other creative installations. Even though we are all remote this year, it doesn't mean that the work is any less awesome. Our students have accomplished so much over the past year despite the COVID-19 pandemic, and we are here to celebrate their accomplishments. And what better time to stay connected as a group across FCAT and our schools and programs. Despite all odds, I'm excited to say that this is the biggest FCAT undergraduate conference ever. We have a record 63 projects from 84 students being presented on a variety of topics and themes. We hope you enjoy learning and exploring all the projects featured here today within the Hop-In platform. This conference is meant to showcase all the incredible ways our students learn and have applied their knowledge and skills into the creation of some of the presentations and demonstrations you will be seeing today. It also highlights how much our students from across our schools and programs have in common when it comes to shaping, creating, and thinking critically about how we perceive and interact with the world around us. As you know, events like this don't just happen. They take a lot of hard work by many people. This year's FCAT UGC was supported and organized by staff from the FCAT Dean's Office, including Jyoti Muker, Andrea Barbera, Tessa Perkins-Deneau, Marilyn Brimacombe, Nicole Manson, and Elaine Steika. They were joined by our faculty ambassadors, Sunha Hong from the School of Communication, Robert Kitsos from the School for the Contemporary Arts, and Eric Yang from the School of Interactive Arts and Technology. You will also see our distinguished alumni panel today, which includes Howard Dye, Kathleen Estanislao, Sean Warwick, and Tiana Marcanato, all former students of FCAT's programs and schools. Thank you to all of our student presenters for submitting their projects to be showcased at this conference and your hard work on them throughout the past year. Show off your awesomeness and be proud of what you have accomplished. We are most certainly proud of you. To continue, I'm excited to introduce you to our Undergraduate Conference 2021 keynote speaker, Jeff Ward. Jeff is the founder of Animiki, a digital agency serving Indigenous-focused organizations by maximizing their social impact through technology. Animiki means thunderbird in Ojibwe and is based on Coast Salish territory on Vancouver Island. Proud Ojibwe and Métis man, father, author, and speaker, Jeff is an example and an inspiration for all of us as an entrepreneur who wanted to create a company rooted in the Indigenous community that he grew up in. Welcome, Jeff, and thank you for being a part of this celebration.
Hi, everybody. Obligatory, can everybody hear and see me? Right on, thank you. So give me a quick second, I'll share my screen. We'll get going. Thanks, everybody in the chat. Right on, I'll assume you can see my screen share. Anin, bonjour, Jeff Ward Indish Nakas, Dotem Muskwa Dotem, Animiki Kiwizans, Indigo, Treaty 1 in Donjaba, and greetings from the Kwangin territory here on Vancouver Island, what is currently known as Victoria, British Columbia. So what I said to you in Ojibwe was, hello, my name is Jeff Ward, Bear Clan. My spiritual name is Animiki Kiwizans, which means Thunderbird Boy. And originally from Manitoba, Treaty 1 territory, but I'm currently grateful to be virtually connecting with you from the Kwangin territory. Thank you, Elder Alec Dan, for the song and opening us up in a good way. I'm originally from Manitoba. I'm Ojibwe and Métis on my dad's side, and on my mom's side, English and Ukrainian. I'm a software developer, designer, technologist, entrepreneur, and I'm the CEO at Animiki Indigenous Technology. So real quick, Animiki is an Indigenous technology company and a digital agency. We're a full services digital agency. We do websites and apps and logos and designs and graphic design and digital communications. And we do all of that within an Indigenous focus. We're a social enterprise and a B Corp, and a little bit more on that later. So as an entrepreneur, my earliest memories of learning to create something of value and then to sell that in exchange for money, i.e. a business, was from spending time with my grandmother, my father, and my family to do beadwork and sell it at powwows. My grandmother and matriarch of our family, she was a person with a disability, lifelong disability, that prevented her from going to school, and she had to learn how to provide for her family and my father, all my aunts and uncles. In a way, and entrepreneurship was that way path forward for her. And so while the word at the time may not have been entrepreneur, that is what she was, and it's those earliest experiences and that entrepreneurial spirit that I learned from her as well as from both my parents. I'm really grateful to have entrepreneurial spirit inspiration in my family. So those early experiences definitely have shaped my life and my career, which I hope to share with you today. One example, when I was a youth, it was a hot summer day. My friends and I, this is back in Manitoba, and we were, 12, 13 or something like that, and wanted to create our candy and ice cream fund. And one way we thought we could do that would be to open a car wash. And we did this at the end of my street. My mom, she says, okay, that's great. And if people ask, you can tell them you're an entrepreneur. Again, like, what's this word? I didn't know what this even meant. But we took our bucket of water and our cloths, and we opened up our little enterprise, our venture. At the end of the day, let's just say our water buckets were maybe not the most clean or what you would expect from a high-end car wash service that we were providing. But one of our customers, she gets out the car to inspect everything, and there was dirt and streaks all over everything, and she said, what about this here and this? You're using dirty water and all this sort of stuff. And I looked at her and I said, like, my mom told me to say this. I'm like, I'm an entrepreneur. And she goes, entrepreneur, and just totally spun away, spun off. So that was a lesson learned in customer satisfaction, client satisfaction, and quality control, but definitely a pivotal entrepreneurial experience, again, with this word that I didn't really know what I was saying. My whole life, I wanted to be a doctor. In the 90s, okay, I'm aging myself a little bit here. In the 90s, this internet thing came along, and I was intrigued. So I tinkered. I learned how to make websites, and then somebody made the mistake of asking me and then paying me to make them a website. And then my family's hopes and dreams of having the first doctor in the family went out the window. Let's just say I didn't go down the doctor path. Maybe one day I'll go back and do that. So that for me led to building websites. I started my first business in high school. Again, with the dating of myself, I had a pager. Anybody remember pagers? That's how I ran my business. I would get a beep, get a beep in classroom from one of my clients, and I would go, teacher, can I go to the bathroom? And I'd go to the payphone. Everybody remember payphones. And I would call my client and I'd say, yeah, no, I can do that. I'll get that to you for tomorrow. But really it was somebody to take a chance on me, on a youth, on a teenager, and give me that opportunity to learn technology in that way, and incidentally how to run a business. One of those people who would page me ended up offering me a full-time job right out of high school and ended up becoming one of my close mentors. Here's a picture of me and Randy from about early last year. I'd say we had a chance in January to connect, 20 years later through just before the pandemic. So luckily got to make that connection in person. And, it's folks like this that really took a chance on me and created those opportunities. And I hope that I can pass that on and create opportunities for others and bring others along for the ride as well. So I just, recommend that you connect with mentors. You can adopt a mentor. You can call it my Adopt a Mentor program. And the good thing is they don't even need to know that they're your mentors. You just, offer to be of service, offer to help. And there's that exchange and that reciprocity that will happen. So I've since found, many mentors and building a circle of supports around me. And what I like to call a personal board of directors, which I highly recommend you set up for yourself. It can be informal. You don't actually need to have board meetings and meet and pass resolutions and minutes. No, it's just a fun way of saying an informal support system. Could be a brother or a sister, an aunt or an uncle, parents, grandparents, elders. Could be a colleague, teachers, former fellow students. My personal board of directors includes my brothers, my parents, close friends, people I look up to, and people who are, many steps ahead of where I aspire to be. Because when you need to make big decisions, it's when you can rely on that support system. So, for example, again, flashing back to the previous stories, I out of high school, I worked for a little while, and I had an opportunity to head to down south to Silicon Valley. And this is when I, talked to my board of directors, my advisors, and I said, hey, look, I want to quit my job. I want to move to where all this activity is happening. So I set off for Silicon Valley during the big .com boom because I felt that's where I needed to be. So I quit my job, shut down my business, sold all my stuff. I left Canada with a suitcase, no money, a credit card that luckily I had just paid down, and a one-way ticket and a cat. And you know what? There was stock photography that had exactly this. So I present you with this lovely image. This isn't my real cat. But try convincing a U.S. border crossing agent that really you're not intending to stay forever without a work permit while in possession of a one-way ticket and a cat. So I did head to Silicon Valley. I spent a few years there. The first month, a lot of surfing, but then got into the workforce, and I worked for a few startups. Was thrust into the Silicon Valley ecosystem. Echo chamber, maybe. It was an interesting place. At the time, we called it Candyland. I was paid way too much for a teenager at the time. It was a whirlwind to be caught up in that lifestyle for all its negative and positive things that experience provided me. But ultimately, it came clear to me that this was a place focused on materialism, capitalism, and I knew it was time to come home. Also, a girl was involved, and now she's my wife of 20 years. So let's just say there were other factors. Moving back to Canada for my childhood sweetheart was definitely a motivator, and I wanted to take all that experience working in the Bay Area and take the skills and everything that I gained and apply them to something maybe a little bit more fulfilling. So after coming back to Canada, wanting to use my skills for good, not for evil, they say great skill comes great responsibility. I know many of you are about to embark on the next phases of your lives with some amazing skills and talent. So for me, this meant using skills to support the community that raised me. I wanted to use technology to support the Indigenous community, and technology was going to be my tool of choice. So when I look at my why, it is to amplify the impact of others through technology. So I am so grateful to work with many Indigenous social innovators, supporting others' missions in their organizations, their businesses, their nonprofits, charities, and other Indigenous-focused initiatives. There are Indigenous innovators in every sector, every industry, and from surgeons and software developers and CEOs and to astronauts and Indigenous people working on the Mars Perseverance rover. So yes, we're on Mars. We're everywhere. And it's trying to change the narrative that Indigenous peoples are inventors, innovators, scientists, entrepreneurs, and technologists. And my tool of choice and our tool of choice at Animiki is to use technology to amplify the voices of others. And so this is the why that I wanted to aspire towards. However, when getting going, this is, of course, a lovely idea to only work on the projects that are in complete alignment. And when I first started out, I couldn't be picky in which work I could do. I found a lot of great values-aligned projects to contribute to. Yes, absolutely. One of my projects that they were coming in hard times, and they decided to totally pivot the software that I had built, and they were going to pivot to the adult entertainment industry. Now, yeah, a porn site would have paid some bills. I was just married. I needed money. I was trying to get my career going, my business going. But when your ethics and values are challenged and making those hard decisions to say no, and try to focus on your efforts on what has the most return on impact, return on the outcome that you want to have. Your chosen career path, all of you, it's going to keep you as busy as you want to be. But yeah, your ethics and values may be challenged. Mine still are. Every day we get project opportunities come our way that we say no to, or we got to think twice about, or so I think what I'd recommend is just centering your personal values if you ever start a business, or just in venturing out in your career, choosing the kind of people that you work with, the kinds of projects. It's a tough decision that you might come across. So I thought I'd share that story of, because I keep thinking back to that. I'm like, I could have gone down one path than the other. But there's a value system that comes from my culture, from Anishinaabe culture and teachings, which is the 7 grandfather teachings. So flash forward to 2021, at Animiki, all of our work is centered around our values. So weaving them into how we work, who we work with, the projects, all that sort of thing. Try to focus the impact on the work that we want to have in this world, and our why. We always look for values alignment in our partners and team members, and screening everything, filtering things through our values. These are our values at Animiki: courage, respect, honesty, wisdom, truth, humility, and love. There's not many tech companies I know of that chose to center love in the workplace, and we're learning and trying to find how to do that in a good way. So these are our values, but you need to have balance throughout all your values, but also balance in the work that you choose. And so here's a visual that we like to think of. Excuse me. Of how Animiki it operates. This is a Thunderbird, and it illustrated, drawn by Mark Rutledge, one of our designers at Animiki. And on the left, you have your business operations and goals, and then on the right are social impact goals. And really need to think of the bird needs 2 wings to fly. Excuse me. And to build a sustainable business. Oh, thanks, Mark. And so, really thinking about how does this bird fly? There's been times in our business when we focus too much, maybe on the business and on the money and operations and stuff, and then other times focusing too much on the impact work, and sometimes flying in circles, but sometimes weaving and in and out. So it's really trying to find balance in how we think about our work. Now that I know Mark Rutledge is here in the chat, we're going to talk about a case study that some of you may find of interest. So a few years ago, we had the opportunity to work on the Indian horse film. This is a film toured around the world, Canadian film, and the focus of it is a story of a residential school survivor. So this is a practical example of how the Rimiki team worked on a project that engaged with our values, our skills, and had the kind of impact that we hope to make. The reason why I picked this one is because it's a multidisciplinary project, and I know the folks and all the presentations today are across many different mediums and technologies and arts. So thought this one might be of interest. So this is the poster that we worked with in collaboration with the producers, with our designer, Mark Rutledge, and an artist, Bruce Berry, who also turns out is my uncle. We had an opportunity to work and create a collaborative piece, and this is the poster. It was pretty amazing to see some of our team's work up on the side of the Silver City buildings, a couple stories tall, and just super, super cool. We also did the website, and this website also has the Ojibwe language in it. So there's a tab there you can click and see the site in Ojibwe, which is super cool. Looking at the time, I'm going to try and breeze through this to the organizers. Got a few more minutes. We also built an app. So at the end of the film, you see the website. Many people ask, what can I do to advance reconciliation? So we created the Next 150 Challenge, which is a series of weekly challenges that people can take to enact reconciliation and move things forward. So everything from watch an Indigenous film to listen to find an Indigenous author, or find, we had a territory acknowledgement generator where we geolocate you and we find where you are, and we pair that up with native land.ca to generate a territory acknowledgement, for example. So you're welcome to go and check that out. I should have put the link up, but it's next150.indianhorse.ca. And then once that app was built, we ran a digital campaign for about a year. And it was weekly challenges. We worked with influencers and thought leaders to create these weekly challenges. Pictured here on the screenshot, the Bannock Challenge. That's right. We made a Bannock Challenge. Definitely check it out. There's lots of amazing opportunities there if you're interested to learn more and engage within the reconciliation movement. So that's an example of, through Animiki, how we've been able to make meaning in our work. But for you, you'll need to make meaning in your work. There will be tough days. You will have challenging bosses, challenging projects. And if you make meaning in your work and impact, those days get a little easier. Finding your why, defining your values, defining what gets you out of bed other than a paycheck. Stay focused on that. Surrounding yourself with supports, building your circle, spend your time supporting others in that circle, thinking of mentorship, adopt a mentor program, building your personal board of advisors. Again, they don't even need to know they're on it. building your circle is something that is really a lifelong and ongoing thing, and contributing with humility while in that circle and supporting others. So in conclusion, find your why, align with your values, use your skills for good, make that meaning in your work, building and fostering that circle, giving back to community, and after it all, taking a chance on yourself. When opportunities come your way, or the opportunities you create for yourself, those will all become easier to navigate when those are in alignment, and all will become crystal clear. So thank you for the opportunity, miigwech, and I'd be happy to answer some questions.
Hello, can everybody hear me? Can you hear me, Jeff?
Yep.
Oh, thank you so much, Jeff. Hi, everyone. My name is Sun-Ha Hong. I'm an assistant professor at the School of Communication here at SFU. And I'll just help us handle the next 10 minutes or so, where we'll relay some questions to you, Jeff, from the audience. So as you're all watching, please feel free to, as you're doing so already, leave some more questions for us that I can relay for Jeff here. So we've got about 10 minutes. And I think one thing we want to start off is, Jeff, you mentioned the incident in which, there was a possibility of building on adult site, and that's something that you steered away from. And so these are situations in which there are ethical questions and also practical questions about what path you take, and as you said, what your values are. Could you say a bit more about this? And in terms of, were there any situations where your own mentors or your own colleagues sometimes disagreed or provided conflicting advice about what you should do? And if so, how did you navigate these kinds of difficulties?
Yeah. So one of the strong supports in my circle is my father, Dwayne Ward. And he does this thing where he says, okay, you have to listen to what I say. You don't have to do what I say, but you do have to listen. And then you make up your own mind and do what it's in your heart, right? So, that support circle, that support system, yeah, they're there when there's, amazing opportunities to consider, but they're also there when you're not sure, right? And leaning on those for like a gut check, a sanity check. But I've been, pretty lucky that been in agreement with most of the support that I've received. And if not, talking things through until there's some sort of consensus.
Thank you. And I guess that comes down partly to being around the right people in the first place who share your values.
Absolutely.
We have a question here from Amelia in the chat. What should a young university student that is apprehensive ask themselves in determining if starting a personal business is worth it? Is there one thing you'd advise someone to ask themselves? And I guess more broadly, a version of this question is also, what should we be asking ourselves if we want to create our own startup or create our own personal business? And how would you go about that decision-making process?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, in addition to connecting with supports, I think I feel like in the technology and communications digital space that I think many of us chose this profession because it's exciting, because we're passionate about it. That thing where, if you love what you do, you never work a day in your life, that sort of thing. It's kind of true, right? So you need to be so passionate about your work and so in love with the people you're working with and the outcomes that you hope to have that, starting a business is not easy. Like you need to love it that much to get through the ups and the downs sort of thing. So I think just, gut check, sanity check. Is this something that I'm like, ride or die? I'm doing this for the rest of my life, and then building a business around that. As far as startup goes, there are so many amazing supports out there. Just leaning again on your circle and on your network.
Yeah, and I think a lot of these apply even if it's not necessarily a business or a tech business that we're thinking about, right?
Absolutely.
And maybe connected to that a little bit, we have a question from Dahlia about when seeking mentors, do you think it's more valuable for the support to be similar in terms of who you are or have different cultural values from one's own? How do we navigate, how we select our own mentors or how we select our own network?
Yeah, I think diversity in experience and opinion is good. I'm surrounded by some wonderful men and women in my life that I go to for various things, and some things I'm going to go to for some compared to others, right? So yeah, I think it is important to when you're looking for folks to support and to be supported by is for a diverse range of inputs, but I'm happy to be, support. At least half my board of directors is my family, and they share a lot of the cultural values and just personal values as myself. Not that it's a one-to-one match, but similar enough that when you're like needing to do a gut check, like, is this the right thing to do? Sometimes it just takes somebody to be like, no, that's not the right thing to do. Like, if you're hesitant, then that's probably a sign.
Right. And continuing on, but I think many of these things share a kind of a similar underlying question. But Bex has a question about how for a lot of FCAT majors, and I think for everybody, a lot of positions that we're hoping to take post-university have often, become primarily independent contractor jobs. Mm-hmm. Do you have any advice for breaking out of the short-term contract gig economy, which again, I think has been become super prevalent across all professions? Breaking out of that into a more stable career, or thinking more strategically about how you build your career?
Yeah, I guess I wouldn't say, I wouldn't think that, doing consulting or contracting work is necessarily the least stable path. It actually, for some, is really the way to go when you can control your own destiny, you control your input and outputs. But, honestly, back to the Silicon Valley stories, I was there for the dot-com boom, and I was there for the dot-com bust as well, where literally tens of thousands of people laid off. And so, full-time position doesn't necessarily mean stability. And for some, creating, entrepreneurship and creating your own stability is something that you might consider.
Thank you. There was one question from the chat that that earlier on that I wanted to loop us back into, and it's a question from Braden who says, what have been some of the feedback that you received from the Next 150 challenge, and what might be some other things that you anticipate might be implemented in this space in the future?
So some of the feedback received. So it's been a couple of years since we ran that campaign. Just hop on the Next 150 hashtag on Twitter, and you can see a lot of the conversation that happened there. We created some feedback loops around like the territory acknowledgement generator, for example. If people find that there's an error or something that is wrong in how that's generated, we have a way to correct that so that next folks who come from that territory, so feedback loops within the work is good, but just in general, feedback around all of the challenges, the reconciliation focused challenges. We see this a lot in the Indigenous focused work that we do, particularly with settler and non-Indigenous communities, when they learn the true history of what has happened in this country and how, these countries on Turtle Island were formed. A range of feedback from, sadness, guilt, anger, wanting to do something. And so, when we engage in the kind of work we do, the kind of mission-driven or the impact-focused work, it's tough work. It's hard work. We do have a lot of difficult conversations and hear a lot of difficult feedback.
Thank you. In terms of time, I think we'll just do one more question, Jeff, if that works for you. Sure. Just in time, I had something else in mind, but let's go with Kitty's question in the chat. How do you balance incorporating your values and passions into your career versus securing financial independence when they conflict. And I guess in some ways it's an extension of the gig economy question as well, which is, when we're well established, we have a nice career going, or we have made it at some level, maybe we're in a space to be able to make ethical decisions. But sometimes we are ourselves in a precarious position. And you've been there before as well, Jeff. So what would be your advice or your compass there when these things come into conflict and your own family or your own career is also on the line?
Sorry, did you say compass?
Yeah, I mean, that was just the word that I used. But,
Yeah.
but I think going back to Kitty's versus here, yeah.
Yeah, and I think it's exactly that, is having that compass, having that North Star, and defining it ahead of time so that when these opportunities are outside of that zone, then at least you've defined it. I think a lot of people wait too long to determine what is important to them, what their values are. Finding that way too late in life, realizing you built a career on something that you're not passionate about and is not in line with your values. So I think just having that compass and that North Star now, putting the work and the time into doing that and building your support systems and everything. I hope I've given you some tools today to kind of round that out so you can, build your own compass, so to speak.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Jeff Ward. I will now invite Professor Neustadter to come back into the video room and guide us towards our next destination.
Thanks.
Thank you
Bye,
again.
everybody. Miigwech.
Thank you.
Thanks, Sanha, and thank you for your inspirational words and story, Jeff. I'm sure there were some important messages that everyone can take away from your presentation. Now, as you may all know, there are some great prizes available for conference attendees. Everyone who is here with us is automatically entered to win, and the winners will be contacted after the conference over email. I would like to thank our sponsors for their prize donations and support. This includes the SFU Alumni Association, the SFU Bookstore, Evo Car Share, Meat, the Old Spaghetti Factory, Vancouver Water Adventures, and Colonel's Popcorn. To continue, Elena Stajka, our fantastic communication, design, and event assistant, will take the stage now to introduce the presentation block portion of the conference.
Awesome. Can everyone hear me? So thank you, Carmen, for your nice words. So we're now going to be entering our presentation block of the event. Basically, it'll be starting at 4:05. So until then, you guys can take a little break. So basically, it'll be under sessions where you can join any presentation room, and I'll be inputting in the chat the updated presentation schedule. Awesome.